Nobody hands you a guidebook on the day. You're like, I'm going to set up my own business. Well, this is what you do. This is everything you need to know. And you're constantly having to make those decisions. Going back to COVID, for example, suddenly you've got like 20 people turning around looking at you, asking what's happening. You're like, I don't know. And so it's always been, well, what does our gut say? I need to be able to sleep at night. Whatever decisions we make, as long as we can sleep at night, knowing we've done our best and we've stuck to our values, then that's just going to have to be good enough.
Welcome to Your Mind, Your Business, the podcast that dives into the real grit of entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Carina McLeod, founder and fitness fanatic. And today we have an extra special guest, Nicola O'Brien from ID Card Centre. Welcome, Nicola.
Hello.
I say extra special because Nicola and I go way back from, we actually went to school together. So we're reuniting today.
We are.
Which is super exciting. So for the audience that are listening today, they're probably wondering who Nicola is. And I'm actually excited to see and hear who Nicola is today. So if you can share a little bit about who you are, and then I'm going to press rewind and go to the very start of your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, so Nicola today, married, mum of two, got a 9-year-old boy and an 11-year-old daughter, about to start secondary school. Run my business with my husband. Fellow fitness fanatic. So I think that's why we kind of reunited, didn't we? Kind of our love of fitness. So yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. So I was trying to think about sort of the Nicola that I guess the Nicola I know or sort of remember, because we haven't actually we haven't met in I was trying to figure it out, about 20 odd years. So a long time, and thinking about when you started that journey. And I was like thinking about, I remember a time when you've always had that entrepreneurial flair, as I remember. So I guess let's hit rewind and go to the very start and talk about, what were those first steps to entrepreneurship for you?
I wouldn't actually say that I was an entrepreneur or had an entrepreneurial spirit at all. The background, the career I fell into sort of out of college was event management. Absolutely loved it. Working at Silverstone Circuit, putting on lots of different types of events. It was the career for me. It led into a job that involved quite a lot of travel. Literally got to the point where I had 2 suitcases packed. I'd come back, wash bag, I'd go from one to the next and I'd be off again. And when Ben and I got engaged and we knew we were going to want to sort of start a family, I was like, this career can't kind of continue. I don't know how to make it work. I don't know how to balance it. So I'd always had a love of food and kind of hospitality as well. And I don't know why we did it, but when we were sort of in our early stages of our relationship, we used to go camping a lot. Like looking back now, I've got kids. I'm like, why weren't we, in the Caribbean? But we went camping. And we'd sit there like around the campfire planning out my cafe and what it was going to look like, and this real sort of social space and this sort of like idea to bring people together and just give good food, make people happy through food. So he kind of encouraged me to set up my own cafe and catering company. So that was kind of my first business on my own. And I ran that for about 3 years.
Amazing. That's just the fact that you had that support early on and you made that dream quickly a reality.
Yeah, it was a bit whirlwind, actually. Probably 6 months from going, I need to make a change, to me, like being in there and like doing the refurb and knocking walls down and getting set up. So yeah, happened really, really quickly.
Talk through how you felt then, because of course you were doing events management, you were then working for someone, and then all of a sudden you're working for yourself.
Yeah, I was balancing the two at the beginning. So my cafe was actually just down the road from where I worked. So I was like popping out my lunch break and trying to balance the two. And I actually thought that I was going to open the cafe and only be there at weekends and still have my main job for like a year or so. And then within about 2 weeks, I was like, nah, I need to be here full time. Like I went into it completely deluded, I suppose, as to what the realities were going to be of like running my own business.
And what was it that pulled you back in? Like you planning to work weekends, but it meant, of course, that wasn't possible.
Sorry, pulled me back into
having to then work that to be your main job.
I think I quickly realised that your business is about you, and then trying to hand that over to somebody else was just not going to work. So it was like, okay, I need to be there to get my vision across all the time. Maybe that could have come later, but certainly in the early days, it's really important to be there early on and kind of go, no, this is the brand. This is what we're about.
Because I guess from day one, some people when they're starting up the business will be the only person doing that job, but you hired people from day one. How did that feel, that responsibility of having people that you had to effectively you're paying and you've got that responsibility?
For me, I think it was my safety net. Like, this is why I say I'm not a natural entrepreneur. I actually never want to go it alone. And as soon as I was alone, I felt kind of a bit stranded, and I needed people around me as my safety net. And that has been the case ever since. I need those experts in their areas. And I just like having people to kind of bounce ideas off and a bit of accountability as well. I'm a really good employee. I don't like having someone to not answer to.
So you have the sandwich business for 3 years, was it?
Yeah, so it was the problem with that business. I was making lots of notes kind of when I knew I was coming on here. And it's like, I think one of the reasons it failed was because I kind of lost my sense of identity with it. Like from the beginning, I was like, this is what I want it to be. And I had a really clear vision, and I got really lost looking at all the competitors and what they were doing. And then I was like, I just need to become all things to all people. And the menu grew. It just became unsustainable. I was trying to do outside catering. I was trying to extend the shop hours. I was trying to bring more product lines in. My wastage went up. And it was just becoming more and more unmanageable. We struggled to make any money back from the initial investment on the refurb. And about a year and a half in, Neve came along, our daughter. So yeah, that was an interesting kind of period of Ben had his business, I had my business, and we had a newborn. So yeah, that's when we decided actually we should probably sell up and I'll try something different.
It's interesting that you say about identity there and as well, because of course having a child as well, you completely there's a change of identity there. So you're managing the shop, your first business ever, and you've got a daughter. That's a lot to sort of take on and figure out the direction that you're going.
Yeah, it was a huge amount. And I think like when I try and look back at that period, I'm like, A, I don't know how we did it. B, I think some of it's still a blur. But yeah, Sunday was my kind of, I'm not opening the shop on a Sunday. Definitely not. But that was my day of wages and admin and putting the orders in. And yeah, poor Neve, bless her. She had an interesting first 18 months of just, she was very good in her car seat, bless her, as she got taken around everywhere.
Bless her. And I mean, it takes a lot to then go, do you know what? Let's shut it. This isn't working, because I guess you've put blood, sweat and tears into this business. And then you're saying, no, we're not going to continue with it.
Yeah, it was really challenging. Looking back, I probably did go through a bit of a mental health dip at that time. There's definitely all of those feelings of failure and why couldn't I make it work? Family had put money in. Family and friends had put time in. Even down to all the people that just came out and were loyal customers. I felt a sense of responsibility to everybody. But ultimately, we knew for the good of the family that it wasn't sustainable. So we recouped as much as we could through a sale. And yeah, just made that decision.
But it was good though. So you kept it going. You were able to sell the business on.
Yeah, sold it as a going concern. So someone took it on and carried on running it as it was.
Oh, fantastic.
Took the staff on as well, and yeah.
Okay, that's great. So it wasn't a complete closure then.
No.
So what was then the next stage for you after that?
So I said to Ben, my husband, I just need 2 weeks off. And he was like, well, just come and work for me for a bit while you figure out what you want to do. So that's when I said, right, give me 2 weeks and I'll be there. And joined him at ID Card Centre to do a few bits on the website for a few weeks. And 10 years on, I'm still here.
I was going to say, I don't think that I love the fact that you were quite clear on 2 weeks. What was it that do you remember that 2 weeks, as in what you thought in your mind and why you needed the 2 weeks?
I think I just needed a pause. I just needed a clear pause.
A clear break. And then, so you're obviously you've got quite a key role now within the ID card centre. So I guess that started off, as you say, working on a few tasks, and it's completely changed to where you're at now.
Yeah, it's been quite an adjustment for me to see it as my business as well. It was very much Ben's business. He was not the founder. He bought it through a management buyout, but he'd been running it before he bought it. And that happened the year we got married. So I'd always been in the background. I'd always kind of been involved and knew what was going on. But yeah, then to sort of join the business, it wasn't really until I got there that I saw the potential in it. So I'd sit there like doing some stuff on the website, and I would hear him on the phone giving out hours and hours of like free advice and, helping people. I'd be like, okay, who's that customer? Oh, they're not a customer yet. I'm like, sorry, you've just been on the phone for 2 hours. He's like, yeah, it's all about the customer service. And the more I kind of sat there, the more I was like, we've really got something here. Like, we are really kind of customer focused. And I've got, my background is also working for big corporates. I love systems. I love process. I love plans. I was like, I think if we can put in some of what I've learned in my career and working for different organizations, if we can put that in this 3-person business, we can really grow. And I also felt like I had a sense of responsibility to pay back the money he'd invested in my failed business, which he does reassure me I've paid back tenfold now.
Yeah.
I keep checking.
So what was the size of the company that when you stepped in?
So there was about 3 of us.
Wow. And how many is there now?
23.
Wow. Okay. So you've grown it substantially.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had 2 office moves as well because we keep outgrowing where we are. So, yeah.
I'm guessing that hasn't been plain sailing either. So you mentioned about the sandwich shop and the challenge of managing that. I'm guessing there was another challenge of where you are from the 3 to the 23.
Oh, multiple challenges along the way. But they're ever changing. And I think that's one of the things you just need to embrace about running your own business is there's probably very rarely going to be a status quo because something is going to come up, whether it's a staffing challenge, a customer challenge, changes in legislation. There'll always be something to get to grips with. And it's just going to unsettle everything for a bit and then you go again.
How do you manage that? Because I always call it the roller coaster, as in you've got the constant highs and the lows. And somebody came on my podcast, said, I never get too high with the highs and I never get too low with the lows. But that's all well and good. But sometimes those highs are fun, but those lows can be a real smack to the ego and just in general. How do you manage and balance that out?
I think it does help not being out there on my own. People do say, oh, how can you run a business with your husband? Don't you get sick of each other? We're completely opposite people. So we balance each other out, but I think we do always feel like we've got each other's backs. So that really, really helps that I know I've always got him to kind of talk to and he'll appreciate what we're going through. Coping mechanisms, exercise. Doing crazy fitness challenges. I think that always helps. Because it's something outside of work. I have a coach. She really, really helps. Just having, an external person to offload to. And just not trying to do it alone, I think.
It's interesting on the fitness side of things, because actually a lot of guests that come on, they do fitness to a different level, or just all of a sudden, I think there was a guest that just decided to walk an ultra, walk 50 kilometers and doesn't normally, train. Do you think that helps you from a resilience point of view to manage kind of when those storms hit you?
100%. Yeah. I think it was Jimmy Carr that said it, but it's that kind of like how privileged we are that our lives are so comfortable that we have to seek out this pain. And it is kind of like that. And it just sort of puts things in perspective a little bit as well. And yeah, I kind of like going out on those hard runs, those ridiculous exercises, and yeah, it gives me space to think.
Yeah, I guess when you've got that complete pressure, right? Because that's a responsibility of like when the team grows, as you say, from 3 people to 23, those are, you've got to hit wages and every month and everything.
Yeah, huge pressure. I mean, COVID, great example. None of us knew how to navigate any of that. Yes, we had the furlough scheme to fall back on, but I think a lot of people knew that, you know, furlough might mean that there was some job insecurity there. So we tried to use that as little as possible. I think we furloughed 2 people for about 6 weeks in the whole period, because we felt this sense of responsibility of, well, actually, we don't know what's going on either. We're trying to navigate this entire situation as well. But you're our team and you're turning up to work, albeit virtually. And we do have a sense of responsibility to try and keep you informed and keep you in a job.
Yeah, I guess that one of the, if you were to look back on the challenges within those 10 years, was that one of your biggest challenges, or have you been confronted by other ones that have just, I guess, given you those sleepless nights?
I think it's the most obvious and cliche one. I'm sure everybody will say, oh, some businesses thrive and have grown off the back of COVID. We did temporarily as well because of the nature of our business and the product. Yeah, without a doubt, it was one of the hardest. And I think what it's done is that it's changed the landscape of work. Even down to home working, a lot of our customers were, access control and identity for buildings. If those employees aren't going in anymore, there's a lesser need or a different need for our product. So they're sort of that's the obvious one. But one of the challenges I've had recently is actually as we've grown and the team has grown, and by design, we wanted my role to not be full-time, especially while the children are the ages they want. That's what I wanted, the flexibility to be there for them. So it's obviously meant growing the team, getting specialists in their areas. And the more I've kind of delegated and as the team's grown, kind of the more lost I've felt. And I've had a real tough kind of 2 years trying to work out what my role is and what my purpose is. I'm the type of person I like quite a defined job spec and kind of, I something to kind of measure myself against, probably again, while I love fitness. But yeah, so not having that and having that ever sort of fluid job role has been quite challenging for me mentally.
And you say you have a business coach then. I guess your business coach is sort of coaching you through that as well.
Yeah, we've been together. I speak like we're in a relationship because she's stuck with me, bless her. Yeah, we've been together about 4.5 years now. And yeah, she's been through everything. And she's wonderful because she keeps really detailed notes of my entire journey. So all the things that I forget, she can kind of look back on and go, yeah, but 6 months ago, this is where you were. Or 6 months ago, you said this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, good point. Yeah.
And that's great. And I can relate to that with the business coach, and they know you so well, and have seen your journey. And it's quite easy to forget what you've gone through and to see where you are now. Have you ever gone through stages where you've just questioned whether or not you can get the business to X?
Yes. Over this last kind of couple of year period, I would say. Again, just different challenges. I think off the back of COVID, pre-COVID, we knew that what we were dealing with. Now, every year feels different. Like we don't see the same peaks and troughs or the same sort of trends. So, yeah, I feel like we're having to sort of learn things all over again, and I'm having to learn new things.
And is that a challenge in itself that kind of keeps you going, or does that sort of give you that more uncomfortable feeling?
It's been very uncomfortable. Lately, I'm trying to embrace it, and trying to see the learning opportunities and see where I can grow and change my role. I get a real buzz off the team. For me, it was never about, ID cards and access control. That's not what excites me. What got me really interested in the business was when we could start bringing on more team members And actually, one thing we've done is we've got a really strong apprenticeship program. So we have loads of apprentices through the business. We've now extended that to work experience placements. So being able to work with kind of younger people, give them job opportunities, pass on some of what I've learned in the coaching and the mentorship, that's sort of helped me find my purpose again. And that keeps me learning, because then I can pass more down and pass more on to them.
Do you feel that you've found your purpose now?
A bit more so, yeah. But I think as well, just having an understanding that it's going to continually change. Like one of the hardest one of the hardest adaptations for me, even sort of 10 years into the journey, is that coming away from that 9-to-5 mindset. Like entrepreneurship is kind of 24/7, but there's, all the chats we have at home, all the business planning we do of a weekend, I don't really think about as work. For me, it's like, I'm terrible for that presenteeism mindset. And that's something I need to keep working on, and feeling like, I just need to be in the business on those days.
Yeah. And I guess it's a challenge, right? Because it is a family business. You're working with your husband. And then, so how do you sort of create those boundaries to make sure that it doesn't impede in your kind of private life?
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't. Yeah. We talk about the business all the time. The kids know everything about the businesses. They can name every business and what each one does, because we've got a few brands under ID Card Centre. But, I'm hoping that they're learning a lot too. They'll come into the office occasionally and write motivational messages on the board for the team. So I'm quite impressed with their grasp of some basic business knowledge at this stage.
I love that. It's just, and you being role models and showing them that the sky's the limit, because, when we grow up, we're not necessarily taught entrepreneurship, or we're sort of taught these are the key jobs that you would have when you're older. And you're obviously introducing that whole running a business to your children.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Neve is already asking whether she should take over one day. But she's still questioning whether she wants to be a full-time gymnast or a singer, or,
of course.
Yeah, she's got many, many options. So yeah, I'd like to think that they are sort of picking that up.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned when you were running the sandwich business, you were sort of going into lots of different areas and you were checking out what the competition are doing. Do you still find that you get kind of distracted with the competition with where you're at, or do you find that you're kind of quite clear in terms of the direction that you're heading in?
I do get distracted, not necessarily by the competition, but by other businesses, other business owners, similar businesses. LinkedIn kind of love-hate relationship with. But I try and bring it back to my values, our business values. Quite often I can sort of see something and be like, we should be doing this, or we should be doing that. And certain things look great in theory, but nobody knows our business like we do. So, there's things that people have suggested, we should bring this in, or we should implement that. And I'm like, okay, but that's not right for our team. I know our team. I know every single one of them on, quite a level. This is what I think we need. And it's trying to stay true to that, true to our values, and not get distracted by what is potentially either a gimmick or someone just trying to sell us something, whether that be product, service.
Yeah, definitely. And do you get, there's always that part where, we talked about it before, of questioning yourself on whether you can do X. And it almost sort of gets into your head, doesn't it, when you start seeing everyone talking about themselves. And it might be that, as you say, it's not always the reality, but it can be slightly distracting, just like when you're going through your own personal growth journey as well.
Yeah, and like what you were saying before about, do you take the knocks personally? It's like, of course you do. If you've got a team member and they leave, you do wonder why that's happened, and you do start to question that. And then you go on LinkedIn and you see all the kind of, nobody leaves bad businesses, just bad managers. And then you start, I'm a terrible manager. And then I talked to my coach, and she's like, they're trying to sell you a leadership course, Nicola, get a grip. I'm like, okay, yeah. And it's just, having that perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And do you find, like, you've got a business coach now that you can go to. Do you still get those? Or I'm saying still, I haven't, sleepless nights. Do you ever get those?
Not so much. Ironically, didn't sleep last night, but I think that was the fear of coming on here. And it was very hot. It's funny you should say that. Like, that's been one of my guiding principles is like, nobody hands you a guidebook on the day you're like, I'm going to set up my own business. Well, this is what you do. This is everything you need to know. And you're constantly having to make those decisions. Going back to COVID, for example, suddenly you've got like 20 people turning around looking at you, asking what's happening. You're like, I don't know. And so it's always been, well, what does our gut say? I need to be able to sleep at night. Whatever decisions we make, as long as we can sleep at night, knowing we've done our best and we've stuck to our values, then that's just going to have to be good enough. It might not be the right decision, but it's the one we're going to make. And that's been my guiding principle. We could probably have grown the business to bigger than what it is now. We could have gone more quickly, but at what cost? And that's something I've said to my husband quite a lot is, but at what cost? I don't want to get to, 10, 20 years time and be burnt out, exhausted, unwell, have no relationship with my children, and have nothing outside of work for the sake of having a bigger business.
Yeah, that's a great thing to highlight, and I it just shows that you come across very grounded. Have you always had that guiding principle, and have you always been that grounded?
I don't know if it's being grounded or actually it's a fear. I think probably initially it was a fear of growing too much too quickly or doing too much out of my own control. Ben would have been more the one that he's the one that comes up with the big ideas. But then I'll sort of balance them out, maybe slightly, temper them. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a grounding initially. But I think since the kids have come along and family life is what it is, I'm like, I don't want to do anything to disrupt that. My kids have got good outside interests. They're happy, they're healthy, they see a lot of us. We're always around for all the different pickups between the two of us. And yeah, I just wouldn't want to disrupt that. I think childhood is so short when you actually look at your kids' childhood that, yeah, I don't want to miss any of it.
That's so key. And I guess being present, which is always an interesting, do you feel that you can be present?
Yeah. It's actually the reason I got a coach in the first place, because I really used to struggle to balance it, especially when the kids were tiny. And I would always be on my phone in front of them. On my day off, I would still always be glued to my emails, checking everything. So it's been a real adjustment. It definitely wasn't an overnight. It's taken a good few years. I started taking Fridays off. I made it a hard and fast rule. And I actually went through a period of burnout a few years ago. And that was the wake-up call for me, and everything sort of changed after that.
That period of burnout, did you realise it was happening?
No. It came about 2 years after sort of the start of COVID. And I think that's, from what I've heard, that's quite a common thing, especially amongst sort of women and mothers, is that we just sort of had adrenaline getting us through that kind of COVID period, the homeschooling, the juggle. And for me, yeah, it was sort of nearly 18 months after the first lockdown that it hit me. And I went to feed the cats one day, and I had a very elderly, fussy cat at that point. And I was trying to look at which sachet she might actually eat that day. And I burst into tears. I was like, Ben, we've got a problem. And yeah, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, right, I'm taking 2 weeks off. I think it was a week, actually, in the end. Yeah, took a week off, cancelled everything, and just sat and sorted my cupboards out at home.
It's interesting. Did you know that was burnout at the time? No. When was that sort of realisation where you look back and you're like, oh my goodness, I was so burnt out? That was
my coach. Yeah. Even though I've never met her in person, she has, seen me continually through a screen for 4 years. And I think she could possibly see it coming. But when it happened, she knew. She was like, yeah, you are burnt out for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And was that the start where you started to put all those sort of boundaries in place?
Yeah, so that's when my Friday off became a hard and fast note. That's my day off, and something really important needs to come up for me to change that. Emails came off my phone, took all my work emails off. And yeah, just those two adjustments were, that made a massive change for me.
Have you ever put them back on, the emails?
I can get on them.
Yep.
I can still do it through the app, but it was having them in, mixed in with my personal emails. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you manage then from the social side of things and just making sure that then you don't also go into that doom scrolling?
Yeah.
Scrolling.
I do quite often just delete a load of stuff off my phone.
Mm.
So yeah, I do just go through periods where I'm like, no, delete everything that's social. Take it all off. Don't want to know.
I absolutely love that. And I love the fact that, well, not the fact that you had to experience almost burnout to get to that point, but the fact that you've built those boundaries and you've actually stuck to them, because knowing what your boundaries should be and actually adhering to it long term, I think is a big challenge for many people. So well done on being able to kind of stick to that.
Thank you. I think it's been a real kind of, I'm going to use the word I hate now, journey to kind of really understand myself, and I can feel things going now. Also of a certain age where perimenopause is kind of kicking in as well. So that's been a whole adjustment, but it's kind of looking for those things that you can do. My coach is also really in tune with like women and sort of cycles and stuff like that. So and working with your energy, and that's a big thing for me. It's like, what is draining my energy? What gives me energy? So do more of the stuff that gives me energy. Understand when I haven't got any. Don't try and fight through it.
Yeah.
And then try and plan things around, peak energy periods, and then other work for lower energy periods.
I think that's fantastic because, I've been listening to more about that, and it's quite fascinating actually in terms of, and being aware of that, you can really take advantage of.
Yeah, and I think it's just remembering that we are human beings. Like, AI might be trying to take over the world, but we're not robots. We have got busy, messy lives. We've got a lot to manage, and we can't all be on full pelt all the time. So it's trying to understand that. And it's, like I say, it's been a real adjustment for me, because I'm like, well, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, minimum, that's what you've got to work, and you've got to be a grafter, and you've got to show up, and da-da-da. And it's like, actually, no, you can probably be just as effective, if not more effective, doing it a different way.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned that your husband was the ideas, like comes up with these ideas. Is there still the idea to continue that growth? Are you wanting that growth, or are you comfortable with where you're at?
No, very much planning more growth. I've got some exciting things in the pipeline. So we feel invigorated now to kind of go again on the next journey.
Exciting. And you've won, as a business, you've won awards and everything, haven't you?
Yeah, not for a few years now. We haven't, I think we've entered some now. So I think we're waiting on some results. But yeah, we have been lucky enough to win some awards over the last few years.
Oh, that's fantastic. So
yeah, great opportunity to kind of get the team out as well. And, we had it was about 4 years ago now, but, really nice evening and the awards do.
Yeah, definitely. And you've mentioned like the team are really important to you and you've seen them grow. How do you, a big challenge often is when growing the team, but then if your business, you want to give the team opportunities. How do you sort of manage that? That team part seems to be quite big for you. How do you manage that in terms of giving them the opportunities and just, as you said, you don't want to take it personally if people go and onto new horizons, but how do you navigate all of that?
I would say building the team has been one of the biggest challenges. We've always had kind of an open door policy and wanting to have an open dialogue with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We've tried to sort of bring in layers of management, and sometimes that's worked. Sometimes it really, really hasn't. I think trying to bring people in to understand what Ben and I are all about and what we mean, and that we mean what we say, that's a really big challenge as well. And sort of trying to trying to cultivate this kind of like no fear culture. That's been a huge challenge, I think. I always think that we should be able to, you know, just tell someone, yeah, this is how we are and this is how it's going to be, and that they'll just accept it. But people don't, you know, they still come in and quite fearful of, you know, maybe putting ideas across or, making suggestions. And we're like, no, bring them, you know, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
So building that kind of no fear, kind of open culture has been quite tricky. But I think we're getting better at sort of spotting those ones that really get it. And then the more of them we get, the more we attract. And then sometimes where we struggle to get the messaging across because people just go, oh, you're the boss, they can help us sort of communicate that message. So yeah, it's an ongoing kind of project, I suppose.
Definitely. And I guess if you then want to take on another go and start growing even further, you've got those challenges there, right, where you have to start going through a bit of a hiring process as well.
Yeah, and geographically we struggle with that. What we've not managed to do yet is really embrace remote working. We do have some of the team who work from home some days a week, so we've got hybrid roles, but a lot of our roles are office-based or building-based, warehouse, printing, etc. So, you know, can't be done from home. And because we've got a central space, it does make sense for a lot of people to come in. And actually, after COVID, we gave everyone the option, you know, do you want to come back? And everyone was like, yes, we want to be back in the office.
Oh, that's great.
So that was great. But because we've had that and because the team are quite happy to come in, we've sort of not been forced to look at the remote options.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do then worry about how we build that remote culture alongside our office-based team.
Yeah.
And get that right.
Yeah, definitely. And you come across like you're in a very steady position, right? You've had your you've got your coach. You seem quite steady, I guess, and the business is in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that, like, in terms of next steps, that scares you?
No,
I love that.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about, you know, we could have grown more quickly, but we wouldn't be on the foundation that we are now. I think we have done it slow, we've done it steady, we've built a good name for ourselves in the industry. Ben's got, you know, a good name for himself and good reputation with suppliers, with customers. We've got a really, really good, solid foundation that I think we could go on to build anything from.
That's the part that I love. It's you've got that foundation, right?
I think it's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you see some businesses that scale rapidly, and they often scale rapidly and there's zero infrastructure there or processes in place, and it's just it's chaos often, and you see high turnover and everything. And it seems that you've created this really good, steady foundation, strong business that now you can just sort of grow even further.
Yeah, and I think as well, I needed that to align with what I wanted the business to be, which was creating job opportunities for people in Northamptonshire that are flexible. So again, it's working with the team that gives me the buzz. You know, we've created jobs that I think most of our team are on some kind of structure that's not a 9-to-5, that it works for them and their lifestyle. And that's what I want to create more of. You know, I'm a mum with 2 kids and a very busy life. I work the hours that suit that lifestyle. I want to give that back to other people. I want to give those opportunities. I think if we had this sort of crazy kind of growth startup where it was just like, no, we need all hands on deck every single day, you know, we wouldn't be able to offer that. And it takes a certain type of person that can work in that environment as well, that kind of startup environment. And yeah, I'm not sure how easy those people are to find, especially in Northamptonshire.
Yeah, definitely. And as you say, it requires different people depending on sort of where the business is at and how the business is growing. And talking about that, you know, if we go back to your earlier days with the sandwich business, if I were to say to you, Nicola, would you open a sandwich shop again? And
Absolutely
if you did,
not, no way. Sorry, the question was.
You wouldn't do that. What if I said, right, if you were to open one again, what would the changes be that you would have made?
I would stick to my vision, and I would get really, really clear on my vision and why I wanted to do it and kind of what my USP is. I see some other people like this. I was probably also a few years too early in what I was trying to do. You know, organic ingredients, locally sourced ingredients. You know, my sandwiches were around the £4.50 mark, and the co-op over the road was selling them for £1.50. You know, people couldn't get their heads around that. So I think now would be an easier time to do something like that. But yeah, being very, very clear on my vision and being able to sell it. That was also my challenge, is I wasn't very comfortable being the front person and going, no, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. And this is why I'm charging what I'm charging.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any regrets from, or do you regret ever opening it, or?
No, I'm glad I did it when I did it, because the alternative might have been that I did that as more of a route into retirement. And I think that could have been quite mentally and financially catastrophic. Yeah, at least this way I did it when I was young. You know, it didn't hold us back at all. We had the opportunity to, you know, make the money back up. So in that sense, I don't regret it. I scratched that itch. I gave it a go. I learned a lot about all the things I'm really not very good at. And that also that I don't want to work solely for myself. You know, I don't want to be the only person running the business.
And I find that really interesting that you're very clear in what you want now, in terms, you mentioned values, but also you're clear on your strengths. And even at the start of the conversation, you said you'd rather be sort of an employee and you don't want to work alone, which is, I think, is a great thing to be clear on from the start, because I think that's the part where, if you're not clear on that, sometimes you can lose sight of where you're going, or realise, actually, I need people around me for this to work.
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship, you know, there will be people like my husband who's like, I don't want to be accountable to anybody, and is quite happy making decisions and not running them past, you know, other people. But that wasn't me. But I didn't realise that wasn't me until I was in that position. And you kind of look around and you go, oh, there's nobody here but me. So really understanding yourself before you kind of make that step, I think, is really important.
Yeah, definitely. Because that goes on to my key question that I ask everybody is, like, if you were to speak to your younger self, whether it was your younger self going into a sandwich shop, or before that, or going into the ID card centre, what would that piece of advice be that you would give young Nicola?
Believe in yourself, and never stop learning.
And just on that believing yourself, do you feel like, have you always found that a bit of challenge, as in really having that self-belief that you can make something happen?
Yeah. Despite having evidence that I can do that, I still, even to this day, struggle with that. You know, like I was saying about the team and, you know, wanting to support them and mentor them and encourage them. But then I might come out of a meeting and I'll be like, who am I to give advice? And it's like, no. And then I have to kind of talk to myself and go, because you've done it. So yeah, it's a daily battle.
Because I think that's typically what happens. Most people will hear, like, for example, you speaking today, you seem very clear on your direction and where you're at, but you're still navigating your own challenges with self-belief.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where it comes, like you mentioned about LinkedIn, which is always an interesting one, that love-hate relationship, because that plays with, you know, the self-belief as well, when you've got people sort of shouting and blowing their own trumpets, and then you're going through a bit of a stage where you're questioning yourself.
Yeah, that's why, you know, I'm very much a lurker on social media. You know, I'm not, you won't see me out there posting or, you know, putting my thoughts up there for that very reason. But yeah, it's something I do continue to work on. And yeah, learning is something that I'm just always doing.
Yeah. And is that, like, with learning, what sort of, do you listen to podcasts? Are you reading books?
love podcasts. Sometimes I just kind of like almost do a bit of a free-wheel and see what comes up. And I'm like, well, that's obviously what I'm meant to listen to today. But yeah, absolutely love podcasts and audiobooks. So I'm not very good at reading nonfiction. So read fiction, listen to the audio, kind of like business books and books on communication and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think I've loved our conversation today, because for me, you've gone through a real, I know we talk about the word journey, but a journey of self-discovery, in the sense of really sort of understanding, as you say, your why, which continues to evolve, but really understanding and playing to your strengths of, like, you know, sort of all from the days, as you mentioned, from opening up your sandwich shop to where you are today. And you have that successful business, and you're steady, and you're ready to go. I guess I'm saying ready to go again. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. It probably feels like, you know, we've had a little plateau, you know, we've had a period of just sort of calm, and now we're ready to go again.
So it's been awesome. So thank you so much, Nicola, for coming on today. I've loved catching up and hearing your story. I know we're going to have another catch up very, very shortly. So thank you once again for sharing your story. It's really inspirational, and just, I love the fact of how, and I'm going to take this away, your boundaries and how you've stuck to them, I think is something that's really important, and actually is very challenging for many people. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think it's important to kind of get that across, because, you know, as women, we try and do too much, and we try and do it all. And, you know, the more people that can say, actually, you can't do it all. And someone shared with me once a to-don't list, and we should all be sharing our lists of all the things that we don't do. Because, you know, it just kind of highlights, you know, the things that we're kind of not juggling, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. And I know I was about to close there, but I just want to I want to jump on that. Is you just raised a brilliant point. Just sometimes as mums, and is to remember that we don't need to be super women. And I think that's often people look at, you know, if you're a business owner, a female business owner, you're juggling parenting and everything. You know, we don't have those, you know, we're not super women. We're juggling it all, and it's okay to let things drop or fall, or, you know, as you say, we're only human.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you once again, and thank you everyone for listening today. Love this episode? Don't miss out. Hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Instagram as we continue to keep it real.